Imagine discovering an entirely new society, a hidden magical world filled with ancient secrets, enchanted castles, and spells capable of bending reality itself. And then discovering their accounting system appears to have been designed by a confused goblin after a particularly stressful afternoon. Because wizard money makes absolutely no sense. If you've ever wondered why young witches and wizards look mildly concerned every time they're asked to pay for something, the answer is surprisingly simple. The wizarding economy uses 3 different coins: Knuts, Sickles, and Galleons, which sounds straightforward enough until someone explains the exchange rates. There are 29 Knuts in a Sickle and 17 Sickles in a Galleon, not 30, not 20, not 10, 29 and 17. Numbers apparently selected by throwing darts at a wall. This means that performing even basic arithmetic requires either remarkable concentration or the willingness to simply trust the nearest goblin, which, to be fair, is exactly what most witches and wizards seem to do. Need to buy a wand?
No problem.
Need to calculate your change? That's suddenly an advanced magical discipline. Naturally, this raises an important question. Why? Why create a currency system so spectacularly inconvenient? Well, according to wizarding tradition, these denominations are centuries old, which is wizarding shorthand for, we've always done it this way and nobody wants the paperwork. A philosophy the Ministry of Magic appears to embrace with alarming enthusiasm. Of course, things become even more interesting when you remember that the entire economy is effectively centered around a single bank, a bank operated entirely by goblins. Imagine if every financial institution in Britain suddenly became one enormous building and everyone collectively agreed that this was perfectly sensible. That's essentially the wizarding approach. Then there are school supplies. A first-year student needs books, robes, a wand, potion ingredients, various magical accessories, and somehow every parent already knows exactly how much money to withdraw, despite using a currency system that resembles an arithmetic exam. Perhaps the strangest part is that almost nobody in the wizarding world seems bothered by any of this. There are dragons, ghosts, moving staircases, portraits that offer unsolicited opinions. Yet somehow, the most unbelievable part of wizarding society may be the fact that everybody agreed 29 was a sensible number to put into circulation. So the next time someone tells you magic makes life easier, remember that somewhere in the wizarding world, a perfectly qualified adult wizard is standing in a shop trying to calculate whether 3 sickles and 11 nuts is enough to buy a packet of chocolate frogs, and quietly wishing they paid more attention in maths. Which does leave one important question. If you could change one thing about the wizarding world, what would it be? Because I suspect wizard currency may not survive the first round of voting. And if you find yourself drawn to the stranger corners of the wizarding world, you may want to stay a little longer. There's always more to uncover if you happen to be looking when the clock strikes odd.